10 o'clock at night and it's about 75 degrees out still. Um, Definitely warmer than it usually is out here at the scrapyard. So look, I'm making this video because I'm gonna share with you guys some of the bullshit that I got to deal with. Um, I love almost everything about, you know, running these fights and the community that we built out here at the scrapyard. But at the same time, there are things that I absolutely just I just could do without, basically. Um, you know, we've had, I mean, over 1,000 fights. We've been doing this for coming up on our 4-year anniversary, and people see what we do. They think I could do that, you know, no problem. I'll just get a couple people together and we'll film some fights. And I'm just telling you guys, if it were easy, everybody would have a really successful backyard fight org. I'm just saying, it's not easy, and I don't even feel like going into detail about the responsibilities and everything that I have to deal with on a daily basis with this. Um, so this stuff, like what I'm going to talk about, is involves more of like the fighters within our Facebook group. So you guys only see like a portion of what goes on here on YouTube. Um, you know, you basically just see the fights, maybe some behind the scenes stuff, but I don't really share like a whole lot with you guys. Um, the Facebook group, that's where like the fighters all have to sign up. They got to go in every month, put their name down, and then they have to get a hold of me monthly for the address and to confirm if they're going or not. Um, I I have a lot of guidelines and rules that are tied to the Facebook group and fighting in the Street Beef Scrapyard in general. Um, and they're not too difficult, but some people have hard times with them. Basically, you just got to respect people in the group, treat each other with respect. Um, I mean, that's really the main one. You know, like the other stuff, you could go to the Facebook group right now, and you could see what the rules are to kind of, you know, be part of the group. Um, so I set forth all the rules in the beginning with the Facebook group. Yes, I took some that the main branch, the OG branch of Street Beefs had already had, and I also used them as my own rules. I added a couple more. Um, you know, Scarface backs me up. Sunshine, everybody backs the scrapyard up when we make judgment calls on things. You know, and the whole rule thing behind the Facebook group and the fights is to keep it basically from falling apart. You know, if people could just do and say whatever they wanted, you know, it's a fight group, right? You think, we'll just let them fight it out, but it would have fallen apart a long time ago if that were the case. Um, anyway, I'm not answering questions like right now. I'm just kind of trying to get through this. Um, but what I'm getting at is every once in a while, someone finds their way out of the scrapyard, whether they leave, whether they just stop fighting for us for some reason, or whether they get banned from the group by me, or they get banned from the OG branch. So if it always comes back on me because I'm the one that set the rules and I make the judgment calls, and if I see something goes, then whoa, there's a random cat over there. Sorry, got distracted. It always comes back on me, you know, the person that sets the rules forth and enforces the rules. And it seems like every single person that finds their way out of the scrapyard has this vendetta toward me. Like they want to fight me. They want to find a way to get back into the scrapyard. And the reason is because what we have is like a really great thing. And people people take it for granted. They realize that after they're gone and they're not part of it anymore, that they might not ever fight for it again. I do give second chances. I do, depending on the circumstance. Um, I've given second chances in the past, and I have people, with us today that I had given second chances to that have become like great parts of the scrapyard. Um, I've given people second chances in the past, and they've completely shit on us and done the same thing and ended up getting banned. Of course, they go through this period of time where they attack us and challenge me. I don't think there's anybody that I've ever kicked out of the scrapyard that was an actual fighter that hasn't wanted to fight me. And that doesn't make sense to me as the creator, as the host. It doesn't. I mean, not comparing myself to somebody, but like Dana White, but how many people has he gotten rid of, in the UFC? Um, and how many people has he had to fight over it? The thing people don't realize is that those challenges and stuff, those don't apply to me, the creator. Because what do I get? What do I get out of fighting every single fighter that we eject from the scrapyard? I don't get nothing. I fight when I want to. I get in there every once in a while. I enjoy it. You know, um, and it's funny that people don't have a beef with me until I kicked them out of the scrapyard. Now it's all of a sudden this big beef, right? But it's a one-sided beef because I don't got beef with the person. They were a problem. I removed them. You know, trying to keep the sanity in the Facebook group and the fights, running. So I don't have to stoop to the levels of putting gloves on and fighting every single person out there that wants to fight me. What if I'm doing this for another 20 years and I'm 60 something years old? You think I'm going to be expected to go in there and fight anybody and everyone that has a problem with me? It's just some people got a problem with authority and following rules. And they have a problem with taking responsibility for their actions because they were the one that fucked up and got themselves kicked out of the group. Okay, I don't do it because I don't kick people out because I don't like them. I don't kick people out for personal reasons. I kick people out for violating rules. Um, and then it's usually the stuff that goes along with it. I'll kick them out. Most recently, and I'm not even gonna give this guy any more fame than he deserves. So I'm not even gonna say his name. And I'm gonna go through a couple different cases in the past that we've had to deal with. Um, Basically, when I kick somebody, I want to see what happens. Like, first off, are they going to be just grown up about it and go on their way? You know, then eventually maybe apologize, reach out to me, come to a mutual understanding like an adult. I really forget that sometimes I really forget that I'm dealing with like a lot of people that are on the younger side too. And I'm not saying everybody that fights the scrapyard that's young has any issues like this, but some people that are younger, they've still got that kind of that really young mentality. And I I do give second chances, but at the same time, like I don't give I don't give any more than that. So anyway, what recently happened was I had a fighter that he went on an Instagram post and he called out one of our 135-pound fighters that he all of a sudden had a beef with that guy, which this guy just makes up beefs. Like whenever he sees somebody that he thinks he can beat, he makes up a beef. And then when you mention to him, hey, how about you fight, the champion, then it's like, whoa, I'm not ready for that, some kind of excuse. But anyway, he goes on there and he starts picking a fight with our 135-pound guy. And, you know, that's lights out. And, I mean, he's a champion, but he's a 135-pound champion. This dude that is doing this to him, 170 pounds. Okay. Like, that's borderline like bullying right there. Like, if you're calling out people that significantly lower in weight than you, then you're just looking to get yourself another win on your record. Trying to get back on that, or trying to get on that wall of fame. So, calls out, lights out. And I go, I'm not letting you fight somebody 2 weight classes, 3 weight classes lower than you, man. It's like, why don't you fight the champion in your weight class, Malik Ogun? Of course, he gets all offended. And it turns into like insulting me and all this stuff and challenging me. And so I kicked him out of the Facebook group. I kicked him out of the fights for that. Just suggesting that he fight somebody. And this guy was undefeated also. He had like 6 or 7 wins or something. Just suggesting that, hey, why don't you fight the champion? Got that reaction. And then he came at me for it. Okay. So he gets kicked out of the group. Should be bygones, right? Well, it's not. I don't know, like a week later, you know. Oh, actually, like a couple days later, I get this weird guy in the group, and he says, like, how about I grapple you, like do a wrestling match, and if I win, J-Ro comes back. I'm like, there's no negotiation on this. Like, you don't fight your way back into the yard. It doesn't work like that. And so this guy got all like irritated with me and was saying, well, everybody deserves a second chance. And I was like, I don't know if this is the guy that I banned or if it's his friend or what, but I'm gonna really hold off on considering giving this guy a second chance. So, you know, we're creeping up on the anniversary, big event. Everybody wants to be part of it. And I just kind of what I was doing was with this guy, I'm not saying I was going to give him another chance, but the longer it went on without him making any problems, then the more likely it would be, you know, that I could give him a second chance down the line. So he decides to go on his Instagram, and I'd already blocked him from the Streetbeefs Scrapyard Instagram. But he goes on my personal Instagram, and he decides to send me his story, which was anniversary event, squash the beef, chicken shit versus so-and-so. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what beef? I forgot about this guy until he tagged me in his story. Now all of a sudden, we have beef? No, sorry, man, that's one-sided. That's you got beef. I don't know if this guy just, maybe he's a drinker. Maybe like he, you know, gets a few drinks in him and he's not thinking rationally, does something like this. I'm not sure. So I argue with him for about 5. I only give him like probably 10 minutes of my actual time. Basically just saying like, dude, you blew your only shot at getting back in the scrapyard by posting this shit, you know. And of course, he's not happy with it. He's calling me all these names. He's calling me all these slurs and everything. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, man. Have a happy life. And I blocked him again. Okay. So now he's going out of his way to pick fights with other fighters at the scrapyard, thinking like he's going to challenge them and get back in somehow. I think that, I don't know if he's dense or what. Like he thinks he's going to fight his way back into the scrapyard. He's like messaging this fighter of ours, who's a good dude, doesn't pick fights with people ever. He's going out of his way to pick fights with this guy, calling him all these slurs, calling him different names, picking at him, you know, ragging on him a lot. And, you know, I had a conversation with this fighter and I said, look, man, just, you gotta just ignore this guy. You gotta block him. We gotta just purge him from the scrapyard forever, because like he's just continuing to be a problem. But one problem is I recently found out that he's actually been training with some Scrapyard fighters. Okay. So this is a problem. So these fighters, they know he's banned. He hates the Scrapyard. He hates me. He's got a problem with me. So these other fighters they're buddying up to him. They're hanging out with him. They're boxing with him. Now, how do you think that makes me feel towards these other fighters? That somebody that actively hates us, has expressed it many times, has come after me and other fighters, and you're training with this person. You know, he's not the only person in that city that you can train with. You guys, when you allow him to join in on what you guys do, he's spreading his negativity and his hate towards the Scrapyard out to other people. The Scrapyard's a community based on respect, and we're all expected to get along and be there for each other. It's a positive environment. Look, I know some people don't understand this, but when you come into the Facebook group, you'll realize no laughing at training posts. We're trying to uplift people. We're not trying to tear people down. Okay? If people do have a beef with like a legit beef, yeah, we settle it. But for the most part, people sign up, they fight, and everyone just gets along. But then once in a while you get this person or whatever in the group that they can't maintain, they can't get along with everybody. They got problems, they got they're argumentative, they start fights. And that's a personal fault they need to fix in order to be able to come out and fight at the Scrapyard. So it's like when we get rid of somebody, they're sticky. They're hard to get. They're like, you would think that you could just like toss them out and they're gone, but no, they grip on for dear life and try to get back in. And the harder they try to get back in, the less I will let them in. I had another guy. Actually, he just got brought up in a post. I saw somebody post something the other day, and this guy commented on it. And this guy's been brown nosing, the main guy over Scarface at Streetbeefs. He's been brown nosing him ever since we kicked him out of the Scrapyard. This guy was a disabled person that we allowed to come out to the Scrapyard and hang out, be part of it. And keep in mind, we don't allow spectators. Fighters are limited to a +1. But we let this guy come out, and he wanted to be part of it. He had a lot of medical issues. We couldn't let him fight. Like, it's a risk to him, it's a risk to us. So I said, you know what, man? If you can get doctor cleared, we'll let you do some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches. I personally did a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match with him where I let him win the match. Like I put an effort forward, but I let him win. And then a couple other people, I would let him know, like, hey, this guy, we can't hurt him, basically, because we want him to get the experience of being part of what we do, but we don't want to cause him any issues down the line. So we allowed him to come out and do a number of matches. Well, it got to the point where the guy was like, I want more. I want more. I want more. I want Firechicken at 100% going against me. I want Terrifier. I want everybody. I had to be like, dude, I can't do that. We're allowing you to participate in the matches, and we're putting them. I'm editing them. I'm spending hours editing your video and putting it out for people to see. Don't get a lot of views, but it was more to help him out and so he could feel included. Well, one day we're running an event, and he decides to do a little match with a random person that didn't know what his issues were. And the guy picked him up, slammed him on the ground, could have hurt him really bad. So I didn't find out about it till later, confronted him about it. He lied to me about it. I told him, I said, man, I can't let you be doing matchups anymore, at the yard. Well, of course, when you challenge somebody's, when you challenge somebody, when you put up a barrier or enforce a rule, then you see how they really are. And he got really confrontational. He, tried to go above my head, Scarface, telling him that I had to let him come out here, that I had to let him do matchups and all this stuff. And, oh, yeah. Hold on a second. Every once in a while, I gotta remove people. He tried to go above my head and basically get himself like reinstated to come out to our yard through me, with bypassing me. So like at that point, dude was never allowed. Like I abandoned from the group, and he eventually like started making fake accounts on YouTube and everything, coming after us, doing all sorts of weird stuff. But like he went and got Street Beefs tattooed on his arm, so maybe that's why that guy stuck around and is still kind of sticking around and saying, oh, I tried to tell them stuff, but they wouldn't listen to me. Yeah, we wouldn't listen to you on anything because you lied to me about stuff. If you lie to me about stuff, I can't trust you. So, that was another guy. He had to leave. We really, you hear these examples and stuff. We really haven't kicked out a ton of people. Really, the list isn't like very long, especially with fighters. I had to kick a fighter out recently. I haven't talked about this, but it was a moderator / fighter who had an embarrassing matchup at the Scrapyard, and he went through some mental stuff and blamed the Scrapyard for it, because we edited his fight and put it out, and every once in a while would share the content, blaming us for it and making a Facebook post. We even allowed him to, be an admin and stuff after he got weird. He blaming us for his problems and stuff. He had to go too. Had a couple people recently leave. I had one kid that I don't even know what his issue was. So this kid, and I say kid because he was 18 when he signed up. I think he even showed up with his birth certificate. It's like on his 18th birthday. Really excited to come fight at the Scrapyard. He was out here every event. I think he fought multiple times, was really anxious to like build up a name and everything. We got a fighter chat in the Facebook group. If you're a fighter that's had like 3 fights or more, then you can be in the fighter chat. And basically we just kind of kick it back and forth, whatever, bring up potential matchups. It's just like it's a chat room basically. He would go in there because he qualified, and he would constantly start stuff with people. He would say weird stuff like racial stuff. He would say stuff that's like, people are like, dude, you can't say that. Again, I kind of was like, chalked it up to him being 18 years old. Like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up because you can't be talking like that. That's your last warning, right? Eventually, he pissed people off in there. Like, they were almost picking on him because they were calling him silly goose and all this stuff. And he was like, he was bringing it all on himself, though. I would tell people like, hey, guys, leave him alone or whatever. But then he would say something. It's like how can I tell these guys to leave him alone when he just continues to do this stuff? One day he says something to a guy that he had already fought and he already beat. And it pissed the guy off. And so the guy says, I want to fight you in a beef fight in the Scrapyard. So I told him, I was like, if you're going to come out to the next event and you don't plan on fighting, you either have to fight this beef fight with this guy or don't show up to the event. Those were his options. he showed up to the event, so I'm like, okay, you're here to fight. And he says, yeah, he'll fight. Well, I could see his heart wasn't in it. He went in there. It was pretty quick. He lost, and I pretty much knew at that point he was never going to fight for us again, voluntarily not fight for us. But then I found out that he'd actually had a problem with the Scrapyard prior to that because, again, when you come out here and you fight and you knock somebody out and you go viral, sounds great, right? You're like almost a celebrity, millions of views. But if you're on the other end of a viral video, you get knocked out, you do something embarrassing, then I could see how you would feel. But you can't blame us. Like, we just edit the videos and put them out there. Like, that's part of it. Whether win, lose, or draw, that's what's going to happen with the videos. So I think it was that video, the one prior from a while back, that caused a lot of, I think it had probably 60 million views across all the different platforms. So he probably decided at that point that he didn't want to fight for the Scrapyard anymore. But he's still, hanging out, lingering, training with our fighters and stuff. Obviously, he doesn't like the Scrapyard. He doesn't respect the Scrapyard anymore. He's not. I never kicked him out though. He's still in the group. He didn't do anything wrong. Not to me personally to get. Yeah, he got kicked out of the group chat, but I never kicked him out of the Scrapyard. He didn't violate any rules, and that's usually what comes down to is people can't follow the rules. They do something crazy, they get kicked out, and then they pour fuel on the fire and make it just 10 times worse. This ain't the first time, obviously, since I've given you a couple different scenarios here, and I guarantee it's not going to be the last time somebody gets kicked out and they pull a baby tantrum. That's what it is. If any of you have kids, they don't eat their dinner, they don't get dessert, kick and scream, they get sent to bed. You enforce the rules. They obviously don't want to accept it. And then they kick their feet, whatever, and make it worse. And that's what happens a lot with these grown-ass adults. Had another guy pretty recently. He was part of our staff, and he would bring fighters out every once in a while. He would fight. He fought, a few times out the Scrapyard. And the last thing that happened with him was he brought a fighter out, and the fighter fought twice in one day. And his fighter won one fight, and he won the second fight. Well, while I was editing the fight, I noticed that the judges made an incorrect judgment call on the scoring of the fight. So I changed the fight from a win to a draw. Now, before you start thinking like, how could you take somebody's win away from them? Street Beefs, all branches, if you get a draw on your record, that counts as a win. There's no draws on any Street Beefs records. It's 1-2, 5-1, no, nothing else. And the reason for that is that, and Scarface has said this before, but if two people come out here, they put the effort forward where they work their asses off, they both deserve a win. Now, from what I understand, the guy that we gave the draw to, that had the win, from what I understand is he didn't really mind. But the guy that was part of our team, who was very trusted, I thought was a friend, that unfriended me immediately, left the group chat, left the Facebook group because of the decision to change it to a draw. Years of coming out here to the Scrapyard, helping out, being part of the team, having your name on the wall, And then just over something like that, you know. And then, after he leaves and everything and unfriends me, and then he's like, well, you guys have been like doing this stuff to me and my fighters for years, because like he had a draw at one point in his like 5 fights or something. And he thought he won that fight, but the judges gave it I don't even judge the fucking fights. That's the judges. So he's saying that we're conspiring against him and stuff, and yeah. He left on his own. Didn't kick him out. He didn't challenge me to a fight or anything like that. Which is actually better than most of them have done. I kicked a guy out a while ago. He was one of our original fighters. And he got all pissed off because when I went on him, okay, so he fought. He went and messaged me while I was on vacation with my family, asking me, why haven't you put my fight out yet? Granted, this is only like a week after he fought. Like, we take up to a month, sometimes even a little more, to get fights out. There's a lot of fights. So he called me out and was like, man, you guys, you edited this person's video before mine. You obviously have something against me. You're just a bunch of cokeheads and stuff out there. Like, I don't know where that comment came from. Off the wall stuff like that. And so, he got himself kicked for his behavior. I think he's fought some local amateur stuff since then. Didn't go pro or nothing like that. So the highlight of his fighting career was fighting at the Scrapyard, where he got tens of thousands of views on his videos. And that's the thing. Once you leave Street Beefs, you're never going to get seen by as many people as you did at Street Beefs. You won't. And not unless you go to the UFC or something. I mean, it's got to be big time. That kind of promotion and exposure, like local amateur and professional fight venues wish that they had that kind of reach and exposure. They do. They wish they had, almost 1 million followers on different social media platforms. Like, when I put a Facebook reel out, or a YouTube reel, or a Instagram reel, and it gets, millions of views, you can't get that unless you already have a big following. So people do. They leave and they realize, I'm never going to get what I had before out of the Scrapyard. So, they have a hard time accepting it. Standing elbows are not allowed in the Scrapyard. You guys need to realize that there are different branches of Street Beefs and different rule sets for different branches. Different states have different regulations on what's legal and what's not. Now, me personally, with Street Beef Scrapyard, I follow Washington State amateur rules. So no elbows to the head, no knees to the head are allowed. No heel hooks, overhead slams, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I told you I wasn't doing questions, but yeah. So anyway, another guy that we had a problem with was this guy ended up being a problem a few times. He's a local fighter, and don't get me wrong, this dude's got some talent. Like, he came in, he won a title. He won a title against one of our better fighters. But his attitude following winning the title. First thing, I went on a weekend trip to the beach with my family. And he was complaining that I had not yet released his fight. This is like a week later. Tried to explain to him, yada, yada, yada. He got all irrational, challenged me to a fight, yada, 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 just like everybody else does. Banned him. Title went up. Never had to pull a title from somebody like that before. I would have honestly liked to have seen him fight at the Scrapyard some more. But his attitude ruined it. Really, though, like, attitude's everything. You can't work. You can't have a job without respecting your boss, your employer, and treating other people with respect. You can't go off on people. You can't challenge people to fights. Like, that's not how things work in certain situations. Like, think of me out here as like your boss. I can get fighters tons of opportunities out here. I can get you lots of opportunities. I can get you in magazines. I can get you seen by promotional or by pro promotions. I'll even go to some of your fights. I'll go to some of your fights. I'll go to tryouts with you guys. I really try to stick my neck out and try to do things for fighters. But as soon as they don't get something that they want, then it comes back on me and they forget about everything that I did for them. So like I said, I've talked a lot about, you know, the different people that have found their ways out of the scrapyard. Another thing that I should mention too is, but back to respect. If Scarface or Sunshine or Esteban or Nate message me and say, we had to ban this person from the OG branch, would you ban them from yours? Hell, they don't even have to ask me. They don't even have to ask me. If they banned somebody from their branch and they want them banned in my branch, there's no, because I have respect for Scarface and everybody there, there's no thinking about it, nothing like that. Banned. We had something happen that destroyed a lot of connections a while back that I had to make a judgment call and ban somebody, and they didn't respect me, and they chose to throw a little tantrum, a little tissy fit, and block me and all this stuff, and ruin the relationship with, you know, another branch because of that. But that situation, the person that I had to ban in that situation, that person had a conversation with me after the fact. We got back on good terms. They were respectful, you know. I get it, you know, sometimes people say shit they don't mean, they regret. Some people have bad days. I have bad days, you know. I say some shit sometimes I don't mean. And the way that this guy handled it, the one we kicked out, he handled it right. You know, he spoke with me and I allowed him back in the group and basically made him, you know, a part of what we do again. And I treat him like it never happened. And I believe there's a mutual respect. I believe there's always been a mutual respect between me and that individual. Now the people that unfriended me and blocked me and stuff and kicked me out of the group and all that stuff, there was never any mutual respect or anything like that, because you don't do that kind of stuff if you do respect somebody. You don't message somebody and tell them how it is and then just block them and not even give them a chance to respond. Childish, you know. And I mean, I remember shit like that. I remember the people that were part of that group, that were in my group as administrators, that gave up their administration privileges because, you know, they were siding with that individual. Hey, you picked your side, and you picked that side forever, you know. But don't expect me to, be willing to help you out in the future when you backed away from my side when I needed you. But yeah, sorry guys, I could probably read some of your messages. People that's really what it is though, dealing with this is going to be number 47, our 47th event so far. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. The events operate very well. There's a lot of respect. A lot of people have made friends out here, and I'm overall like really proud of what the Scrapyard's accomplished. Connections we've made. People that watch our stuff now that are wanting to be affiliated with us, professional fighters, people that I looked up to growing up. That are contacting me now, wanting to come out to the fights and wanting to link up and do all this stuff just because they like what we do. But I'm gonna keep grinding. I'm not gonna let the petty bullshit, the people that drag us down. I'm not gonna let that shit drag me down. I feel like we changed a lot of people's lives for the better out here. So more people have gotten way more positivity out of this whole thing than the few that I've mentioned that are absolutely miserable. But you really got to look at why are they miserable? How did they get into the situation they're in? Looking at us, the only way they can watch us is from YouTube. They're not in our Facebook group. They're not in our Instagram. But that's about all I got. I had to vent some stuff. Hey Jeff, really appreciate it. Thanks, man. I'm on a live. What? I don't know. I don't know. I'm on a live. It just anyway. Jeez. All right. Yeah, sorry. I got distracted there for a minute. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this next event. You know what? We had an event 2 months ago. It was our biggest event ever. 35 fights. Well, actually, it was like 33, 34. I don't remember. Something like that. It was the biggest fight event ever. To put it into perspective on how big the anniversary event is, I've already put together with Flex and Ponyboy, we've already put together 30 matchups. That's pre-matched up. We've never pre-matched up more than about 15. Plus all the other people that signed up. I mean, we could hit 40 fights on this event. I'm going to live stream it all, guys. It's going to be major. Respect to Canada. So I'm definitely going to be talking more and more about this in the coming weeks. Look, I don't know if you guys watch Scrap Talk or not, but if you don't, go to my live section on this channel. So every 2 weeks we do this podcast with Heart in the Fight. They stream it on theirs, we stream it on ours. It doesn't get the most views because we're not a podcast channel. But I mean, we get some pretty high-end guests on there. I'll tell you, if you just listen to me for a minute, I'll tell you who the next one's going to be. So previously we've had Jose Benavides Sr. That's David Benavides' father and owns the Benavides gym out here in Burien, big boxing gym. We had Ernest the Cat Miller, WCW wrestler from back, WCW and WWF wrestler, WWE. We've had Chet Congo, Bellator, UFC fighter. We've had Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson from the UFC. He was on the show. We had Chiseled Adonis. You can look him up. He's a sports commentary / comedian. Funny as shit. You might see him at the anniversary. And most recently, we had Sean Kemp, number 40, the Rain Man, the Supersonic. Sean Kemp loves what we do out here. He's shown up to an event so far. We love having him out here. Next one is going to be Robin Black. If you don't know who Robin Black is, look him up. I'm just going to say that. Do some homework. That way you'll be anticipating Scrap Talk. So Scrap Talk will be next Tuesday. So, yeah, not this week. Next week, next Tuesday. So, tune in. That's gonna be a good episode. I got other guests lined up, but some of them can't do the time period that we have lined up. So, also, if you've been watching our videos recently, go look at our full-length videos. We've had a guy come out and do some intense slow motion. Oh, Weeb in the Red. Hey, Somk, look up the sparring that I did with that guy. I did a sparring round with him. I think I did pretty good. You know, dude's a high level amateur fighter that's like 5-1, amateur boxer. He just came out to Scrapyard to get some more experience, but I mean, my ass is like 41 years old. But the difference between me and him though is like after we sparred, I was breathing really hard and he looked like he didn't even he wasn't even breathing hard at all. He went like 5 rounds straight. He's exceptionally skilled. Hey, thanks, Laura. It's getting late. Normally this is like a kicking it with chicken kind of deal, but I don't know. I haven't done one of those in a while. Maybe I'll go back to doing those. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Just, you know, please, if you guys would, comment on our videos. That means a lot to me and the fighters. I'm not talking about the short reels. I'm talking about the ones under the video section. Just when you see a new video comes up for the Scrapyard, I mean, even if you don't watch it, like go in and just leave a comment like, hey, I love and support the Scrapyard, whatever. Like there's people that do that. Anomaly does it all the time. Pete does it all the time. You know, it's really nice having that support. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go to bed. Thanks for listening to me vent for the last hour. Appreciate it. Till next time. Maybe I'm not gonna make a promise because when I make a promise, I don't end up doing it with the kicking with chicken thing. So no promises, but I know you guys want it. So peace out, everybody. Have a great night.